What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. So today I want to go over my weekly video on 3 stocks that you need to add to your watch list that have a very strong likelihood of a squeeze this upcoming week. So I'm going to go over all that. Make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So as far as economic data coming out, there isn't really anything that could help a squeeze or help the broader market. It's going to be fairly quiet. There's a couple of Fed speakers, but I don't anticipate much coming from that. Rather, there is going to be a lot coming around from the earnings. So Monday, Tuesday, a lot of banks, as you can see. There's also Netflix, Tesla. So a lot of big names are going to be disclosing their earnings this week. So it's going to be a big roller coaster. And of course, when it comes down to roller coasters, there is usually a lot of shorts getting in and out. So for instance, if there is a lot of good stuff coming out from the banking sector, then this is where potentially shorts might be able to exit very, very fast, because the banking sector has been a very touchy subject over the last little bit. I'm sure I don't need to explain that to you guys. So if there is a lot of positive data that does come out from their earnings and potentially future guidance as well, this is where shorts will exit. So again, getting right to it. First one I want to talk on is C3 AI. So overall, the 1 year is up 11%, year to date 97%, and 1 day from Friday down 1.79%. As far as SEC filings, nothing really new in that regard. Press releases, there was one that did come out, but not really anything to talk on. So it's just more of a award to a sheriff's office, but C3 AI somehow indirectly helped. So of course, I think that's a pretty positive thing, but not a really good catalyst to go and buy it just because of that. But market cap is 2.46 billion, so it's definitely a fairly larger company in some regard. Volume is 13 million, so it definitely has a lot of liquidity. And I have it on here because a lot of people are still saying, even though it's gone down and pushed back from the 33s down to around the $21 range, a lot of people are still saying that it is a very big bubble. So this is where a lot of shorts are getting in. So I'll give you guys a quick overview of that. So short score is currently 75, utilization is 100%. Shorts returned 1.41 million shares on Friday. 33.32% of the free float is being shorted, and that works out to be around 29.12 million shares. 16.21% is the cost to borrow average. So behind the scenes, it does have everything you need for a fairly good squeeze, especially more so if you're looking at, for instance, the technicals. It is doing fairly well. So it's above the 100-day moving average. It is wedge bound between the 50 and the 100, lower percentile of the Bollinger Band, which generally speaking is not necessarily the overall best, but of course it is what it is. So for instance, if there is going to be a squeeze per se, then I do assume that most likely, and I guess on a side note, just to explain, if there ever is going to be a squeeze, I don't think there's going to be any circumstance ever that causes 100% of the shorts to exit all at once. That is never going to happen. I'm not a financial advisor though, but so you guys do your own due diligence, but I do see that very unlikely. Most likely what would happen, especially with shorts and getting a little bit more greedy, maybe over justifying, taking it down too much, could be around a 20% reduction. So for instance, 29 million, let's say for argument's sake, a lot of the banking sector or whatever it might be is fairly positive, that could result in a fairly good 20% reduction in shorts. So once again, just to give you a quick price prediction, a vague price prediction based on that, then technically looking here, 13 million for volume just based on Friday, you have to realize that most likely that is how many shorts is going to return. Of course, that's a little bit higher than 20%, but it won't really move that much. It probably would be able to, based on the technicals at least, get to around the 24, maybe to the $25 range. So of course, when I'm talking on a squeeze, C3 AI is fairly good and does have what it takes, because what it went to around the 33 range, it does show a lot of good strength behind the scenes. So of course, when it comes down to it, it most likely would go to around the $26 range if there is that 20% reduction in obviously their short interest. But keep in mind though, this is very much linked to another company. So another company would have to do good for them to squeeze. So this is why it's not going to potentially higher levels, or I'm not stating 33, because this actual data wouldn't be linked to C3 AI specifically. So you kind of have to realize that it is benefiting from another company. So again, just be aware of that. But moving on when it comes down to this, and like I already mentioned in the past and previous videos. These three aren't in any particular order at all. So once again, just be aware. Second one is Rocket Companies, RKT, and this one is a mortgage lender, so a fintech. And like I mentioned already, when it comes down to the banking sector, if this is very much positive, then anticipate in general a lot of good buying happening with a lot of these fintechs. But over the last year, down 2.56%, one day 1.61%, and year to date up 29%. Market cap 18 billion, so definitely not a small company by any means. No SEC filings, no press releases lately. So once again, it's just going to follow the broader market and also the earnings. So just be aware of that. On a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good content such as this in one area, take a look at Seeking Alpha Premium. I do have a 7-day free trial for you guys. Link in the description below and also the comments. So just click on the link, sign up, because it does have a lot of good content and information and kind of makes things a lot easier to research. But again, moving on from that, let's pull this up. So RKT. Okay, so as far as this, it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band, above a lot of the pivotal moving averages. So based on the technical standpoint, this is fairly good and it is primed and ready to go up in reality. And based on the liquidity, 2.2 million for volume from Friday. So of course that's fairly good in that reality. So based on this, shorts did increase 55,000 shares. 18.62% is the cost to borrow average, 30.6% of the free floats being shorted, and that works out to be around 33 million shares. So like I said, fundamentally behind the scenes, this definitely does have a lot of good ability to go up because of all of this actual info right here. So like I said, when it comes down to it, how high could it potentially go? Well, factoring in that there is 33 million shares being shorted and using that same 20% rule, and given the volume based on Friday was 2.2 million, this one can actually go up fairly high. And like I said, it's going to be benefiting from another company's earnings potentially, but I do see it as kind of reaching this high potentially. So around the $11 range, but factoring in that we are currently at $9.15, that is a pretty big return in 1 week. But of course, I could be very much wrong. So this is where you guys do your own due diligence, like I said. But again, I would say around the $11 range, that unless something does come out from the company itself that does piggyback with this actual earnings from other companies, then definitely that might be very, very good. And finally, last one I want to talk on is Upstart. So another fintech company. This one has been hit quite hard. So over the last year, down 81%, year to date, 19% up. And over the 1 day, it is down 2.53%. SEC filings, there is one that I just wanted to talk on and just explain to you. Press releases, there is one that did come out. So Core Plus Federal Credit Union selects Upstart for personal lending. So definitely a pretty good thing in that regard. SEC filings, there was a definitive 14A, so shareholder meeting. You can see right here, looks like May the 24th, that's when it's going to be held. 4 things that is going to be proposed, one of which is just nominating the actual directors and so forth. Number 2 is about the accounting firm. Number 3, to approve on an advisory basis a computation of our named executive officers. And number 4, to transact such other business as may be properly come before the meeting, or any adjournments or postponements thereof. So again, this is kind of all pretty standard stuff. So not a good reason to go out and buy Upstart because of this. So it's not going to really result in anything per se. But again, when it comes down to it, 1.27 billion of a market cap, volume is 3.9 million based on Friday. So when it comes down to, for instance, 25 million shares being shorted, and plus on a side note, it is on the threshold list, but sometimes that doesn't really matter, unfortunately. But 25 million shares being traded right now. And this one has been hit out of any of the other 2 that I talked on the most. So when it comes down to it, let's pull up Upstart, whatever. So as you can see right here, it is higher percentile of the Bollinger Band. Briefly broke it in on Friday. So generally the technicals don't necessarily look the best, but if there is some positive stuff that does come out, like I said, from the earnings, then this is where it can easily go up. Like I said, based on the 20% rule and looking at, for instance, the daily volume, it could very much go up around the kind of peak, kind of around here. So 21, so 18 to around 21, depending on how many shorts does exit and depending on how good the earnings is going to be. So like I said, these are just vague price predictions because it's hard to predict how high a company will tentatively go based on someone else's earnings. So again, it's a good theory in particular, but of course, there could be also stuff that does come out for any one of these three companies that could really help the squeeze as well. Shorts are really doubling down on all three of these companies for various reasons, but I do personally see that there is a lot of good upside with all three companies. So let me know your thoughts on all of that in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you, there is a good promo with MULN, link in the description below and also the comments. Just sign up for a free account and you get one free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So just sign up, take advantage of that one promo, and it is a complete no-brainer. Plus, if you want to throw $100 at the account, you do get additional 4 free stocks. MULN does also offer $0 commissions and free level 2 trading, just to kind of make it a lot easier on investors. So again, it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below, and without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching.